Sean P Diddy Combs, the Diddler, if you will, if you want to give him a proper Batman villain name. I'm about to break down for you all the tea that they don't want you to connect the dots to about Diddy. I will also answer questions like, why did Diddy get away with so much for so many years? And why is he being exposed now? I hope you also come out of this learning a few lessons about yourself, about life. So make sure you stick around for the end of the video so that you can understand how this Diddy case is actually connected to you and how you can use some of the lessons from this case to improve your life. For anyone who missed it, Diddy is currently facing some serious allegations. A lawsuit was recently filed accusing him of years of physical and emotional abuse toward his former partner Cassie, including coercive control and incidents of non-consensual behavior. The claims date back to their relationship in the early 2000s, and though Diddy has denied the accusations, the case has sparked widespread conversations about power dynamics in the entertainment industry. It's a major moment with many people watching how this unfolds. All right, so why did Diddy get away with so much for so many years? Were there people protecting him? Why is he all of a sudden being exposed now? What we need to understand is that in the music industry, power often protects power. Diddy has been linked to influential figures like Clive Davis, his longtime mentor, and Ron Burkle, a billionaire investor. Clive, who helped Diddy after he left Uptown Records, and Burkle, who invested $100 million in his clothing line, are both rumored to have played key roles in Diddy's rise and protection. These connections raise questions about the influence behind the scenes and how Diddy has managed to avoid deeper scrutiny during that time up until now. Let's go over in more depth about who Clive Davis and Ron Burkle are. Clive Davis is a music executive and producer known for shaping the careers of some of the biggest names in music. He began his career at Columbia Records in the 1960s and later founded Arista Records. Over the decades, he has been instrumental in launching the careers of artists like Whitney Houston, Barry Manilow, and Alicia Keys. Davis is celebrated not only for his keen ear for talent, but also for his ability to create hit records. His mentorship has been a crucial factor in Diddy's career, particularly during pivotal moments after his departure from Uptown Records. Originally, P. Diddy was mentored by Andre Harrell, and Andre Harrell was also mentored by Clive Davis. P. Diddy was just an intern at Uptown Records, and after developing a relationship with Davis, he climbed up to be a CEO for his own record label, Bad Boy Records. So this is a major career jump, going from an intern to a CEO. Not only is it a major career jump, but it is a major career jump for a man in his early 20s. So many question if there were any conditions or favors that were set between Diddy and Davis. Now, Ron Burkle is a prominent billionaire investor and businessman. He is known for his ventures in various industries, including retail and entertainment. He is the co-founder of the Gatekept companies, a private equity firm that specializes in the grocery and retail sectors. Burkle is also known for his connections within Hollywood and the music industry, often leveraging his influence to support projects and individuals he believes in. His $100 million investment in Diddy's clothing line, Sean John, highlights his commitment to fostering entrepreneurship in the entertainment realm. So these relationships underscore to us the intricate web of power in the music industry, where established figures often support one another to maintain their influence. So understanding who Clive Davis and Ron Burkle are provides crucial context to Diddy's journey and the protective network that surrounds him. There's also one more figure who may have played a role in Diddy's protection, who is also considered to be very powerful in the music industry. This is none other than Lucian Grainge. Lucian Grainge is the CEO of Universal Music Group and was mentioned in the Diddy lawsuit document of 2023, which was filed by a producer named Rodney Lil Rod Jones. In early 2024, the attorney for Grainge fired back at the lawsuit that claims he and the label aided and abetted Sean Diddy Combs in his alleged abuse, saying the accusations are so offensively false that they plan to seek legal penalties against the lawyer who filed them. In a motion to dismiss all claims against UMG and Grainge, the label's lawyers blasted attorney Tyrone Blackburn for filing knowingly false allegations of criminal wrongdoing without the slightest factual or legal basis. They said they would seek so-called sanctions against him in a future filing. So make of that what you will. Obviously, billionaires have a lot of influence and power. So at the end of the day, we're going to have to let time speak for itself to see if Lucian Grainge was actually involved with Diddy's inappropriate behaviors, parties, and abuses. So again, all this stuff is coming out now about Diddy, but why now? Why might he have received protection for all these years until now? I will answer this question in a bit, but first, we must understand why Diddy seems to have acted as a gatekeeper and why the music industry is gatekept in the first place. Music is supposed to be spiritual. From the ancient rock art of the San Bushman people of southern Africa to evidence from other ancient cultures around the world, music was used for religious and spiritual experiences ever since the genesis of humanity. Now, because of capitalism, music has transformed with the intention to commodify it, making sure that only music that does not hurt the pockets of billionaires are promoted. Any music that may threaten the pockets of these billionaires would have to be overshadowed by the more materialistic and capitalist-friendly type of music. I mean, can't you observe this for yourself when you see what kind of music gets promoted the most? When you're out in the stadium watching a basketball game, a football game, a hockey game, when you're listening to the radio, when you're out shopping, there seems to be the same kind of music being played over and over again. Is any of that type of music revolutionary or conscious or uplifting in that spiritual way, or is it more of like a materialistic kind of music? Author, investigator, and producer John Potash makes the argument in his book, Drugs as Weapons Against Us, that similarly to how drugs were used to target leftist leaders like the ones in the SDS, Black Panthers, Young Lords, Latin Kings, and the Occupy movement, leftist musicians like John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, and Tupac Shakur were also targeted and pushed to promote drugs. Such an argument suggests that there may be forces that find leftist activism as a threat and prefer promoting music or a culture in society that does not value standing up against billionaires. I mean, just take a look at what happened in hip-hop. Originally, hip-hop was not only creative, witty, and playful, but it was also conscious. Hip-hop originated as a powerful voice for social change, addressing issues like poverty, racism, and inequality through conscious lyrics. Artists like Public Enemy, Jeru the Damaja, and A Tribe Called Quest, among many others, used their platforms to challenge the status quo in the 1980s and 1990s, an era known as the golden age of hip-hop. However, as the genre gained mainstream popularity in the late 1980s, early 1990s, a shift occurred. The rise of gangsta rap, led by artists like NWA and Ghetto Boys. These artists introduced a raw perspective focusing on street life, violence, and materialism. This transformation attracted commercial success, shifting the genre's narrative toward fame and wealth, often overshadowing its roots in social consciousness. Today, while many still champion the original messages, mainstream hip-hop increasingly reflects these materialistic themes. Now, I do want to bring this up because this is important. Gangsta rap does in fact depict the realities that Black people face in marginalized communities. It also depicts the mentality and their state of mind, which is important for understanding people from different communities. However, gangsta rap divorced from conscious rap may not add much educational value to listeners, and they might walk away with the wrong message. There is gangsta rap with conscious elements, but if we look at what mainly gets promoted in the mainstream, it tends to be music with low levels of consciousness. This lowering of consciousness was not only seen in hip-hop, but it was seen in any form of mainstream music. A study by the Spanish National Research Council in 2012 found that in the 464,411 recordings from all genres of Western popular music that they analyzed from 1955 to 2010, contemporary popular music has become louder, more predictable, and simpler. They did this by measuring patterns like generic usage of primal musical facets such as pitch, timbre, and loudness. I am bringing all of this up because there are gatekeepers in the music industry that appear to be protected by higher levels of power so that themes of spirituality and political or conscious revolution is minimized in mainstream music. Diddy appears to have been one of those gatekeepers, and in order for people to fall in line These artists that wanted fame may have been blackmailed into submission. So artists that were more interested in having themes of consciousness or revolution or in politics or spiritual uplifting, their music tended to get suppressed. And to this day, we can see that that kind of music is suppressed in favor of the more materialistic party type of music. I mean, let's just take a look at the kind of artists that Diddy was hanging around with the most and look at the kind of themes you would hear in their music. So if Diddy was such an important gatekeeper for these billionaires during the 2000s, this now brings us to why is Diddy not being protected now? Why did Cassie muster the courage to speak up now? People like Jaguar Wright have been calling Diddy out for years before this happened. There are numerous alleged victims. All of a sudden, the power that protected lower levels of power are not protecting him anymore. Now, there are 3 possible reasons for this, and you don't have to believe all of them, but they all are a bit coincidental. Reason number 1. He challenged the billionaires who own Diageo. Sean Diddy Combs officially ended his partnership with Diageo, the parent company of Ciroc Vodka and De Leon Tequila. This came after a lawsuit he filed accusing Diageo of racial discrimination, claiming they underpromoted his brands in urban markets. Diageo denied the allegations, framing it as a business dispute. In January 2024, both sides agreed to settle, with Diddy dropping all charges and Diageo taking full control of De Leon. Despite the success Diddy helped bring to Ciroc, their business relationship is now completely over. Shortly after the lawsuit was settled, the allegations about Diddy's abuse started to unfold and his mansion got raided. It seems a bit coincidental, like Diddy stepped on the wrong toes and then as a punishment, this is now being done to him. Once again, this is speculation, but it just seems a bit coincidental. And I was talking earlier about how gatekeepers were needed, but this is now bringing us to reason number 2, and that's that music is not what it used to be. The music industry today is not what it used to be, largely because of the rise of streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. In the past, artists made a big chunk of their income from album sales, these physical copies of their music. Now, streaming dominates, but it pays artists just a fraction of a cent, not even a full cent, a fraction of a cent per stream. To put it in perspective, an artist would need tens of thousands of streams just to earn what they used to from selling a single CD. This change has forced many musicians to look for other ways to make money. That's why you see more artists turning to things like brand sponsorship, advertisements, and merchandise. Touring and selling merch have always been important, but now they're critical for staying afloat. Some artists have even started appearing on Twitch or other streaming platforms to engage with fans directly and make money from donations, subscriptions, or exclusive content. They're now appearing as guests to famous Twitch streamers' streams. So the reality is, music alone doesn't pay what it used to. So artists are getting creative, finding new ways to monetize their brand and stay in the game. So with the rise of streaming platforms and social media, the music industry has changed dramatically. Underground artists no longer need moguls like Diddy to break into the industry. They can reach global audiences on their own. Algorithms and digital distributions have replaced traditional gatekeepers, allowing independent artists to thrive. But the industry isn't done gatekeeping. Now it's about who can get the most visibility in crowded platforms. Labels and moguls still matter, but the control has shifted and the industry has had to evolve to keep up. Now, the third reason is karma. All the wrongdoings Diddy infringed on people against their will have caught up to him. But again, why now in the year 2024? Recently, some astrologers have pointed to planetary shifts as the reason why so many celebrities are facing exposure. They're citing the movement of Saturn, known for revealing truths, or Pluto, which is linked to transformation and the uncovering of hidden secrets. You can take this information about astrology with a grain of salt for now, but I have a video planned out in which I can do a deeper dive into this. For now, I will say that Hollywood's silence about this issue is very loud. That's because these other artists who participated in these Diddy parties are afraid of karma coming for them next. With Jay-Z, who worked very closly with Diddy and has also achieved billionaire status, there are some whispers surfacing about his involvement. For years, many have also called him a gatekeeper for his role in shaping the landscape of hip-hop and his significant influence over the careers of many artists. For instance, his establishment of Roc Nation, which not only manages artists but also oversees various ventures in music, sports, and entertainment, highlights his gatekeeping role. He has been involved in signing and promoting numerous emerging talents, giving him substantial leverage in determining who gains visibility and success in the industry. Not to mention how, even in politics, Barack Obama said he has Jay-Z on speed dial. So that's a lot of influence that Jay-Z has, similar to Diddy. Now, what can you learn from this? How can you take some of these lessons, some of the things that you're finding out about the Diddy case, and apply those lessons onto your life? Let's start with power and corruption. One of the biggest spiritual lessons we can learn from this is that power can corrupt people with unchecked egos. It is important to be humble and self-aware. When people gain power, the ego often takes over, leading them to misuse that power for selfish gain. In spirituality, we're reminded that true strength lies in serving others and acting with integrity. Power, when used with compassion and consciousness, uplifts those around us. But unchecked power, fueled by ego, can corrupt. It's essential to stay grounded and remember that power is a responsibility, not a tool for domination. So pretty much, compassion, being a compassionate leader, is far better than to be a leader that runs on fear and abuse. The next lesson is about materialism and spiritual growth. In a world driven by materialism, spiritual growth teaches us that true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulating wealth or possessions. Material things are temporary, but spiritual growth connects us to something deeper, our purpose, our higher self, and the collective well-being. Chasing material success often leaves people feeling empty because it doesn't nourish the soul. Instead, focusing on inner growth, kindness, and connection to others brings lasting peace and joy. It's about balancing the material world with spiritual purpose. So this means the second lesson is about letting go of material attachments. Look at where not letting go led Diddy. He just kept chasing more and more, because those material items were never enough to truly satisfy him. The third lesson is about toxic culture that promotes celebrity worship. Hero worship can be toxic when we put others on pedestals, believing they hold all the answers or that they're flawless. Spiritually, we learn that everyone has their own journey and struggles, and putting people on such high pedestals can lead to disappointment when they fall. Instead, the lesson is to admire qualities in others without losing sight of our own power and potential. Diddy's probably not the only one that's going to be exposed going forward. Some of these people might have been people that you looked up to. So again, true spiritual growth comes from looking within, not blindly following or idolizing someone else. No one person can define your path. That's for you to discover. Most celebrities do not speak up for the global issues happening despite their platform, or if they do, a lot of times they might be on the wrong side. If you haven't noticed already, it's pretty rare for celebrities to be on the right side of global issues. This is because they are just people. They are likely uninformed, and they also may not be contractually allowed to speak up. The fourth lesson is that this connects to global issues that can directly affect you. When I brought up the heavy mainstream promotion of gangsta hip hop over more conscious hip hop, there was a connection there with events that happened in Iran, Iraq, Nicaragua, and Colombia that then affected inner city black communities in the US. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan was secretly and illegally selling weapons to Iran during their 8-year-long war with Saddam Hussein's Iraq. The money gained from these arms transactions were used to fund the right-wing Contra-rebel guerrillas in Nicaragua fighting to bring down that country's leftist Sandinista. Investigations by the US Congress and the Department of Justice found that private airplanes used to send supplies to Nicaraguan rebels were also being used to ship cocaine back into the US to raise millions more in illegal funds for the resistance movement. These drug shipments were distributed back to black inner city drug lords on the East and West Coast, creating a link between the conflict in Nicaragua, Colombian drug cartels, and inner city street gangs, all of which contributed to the crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s. So when you're distributing crack cocaine and keeping these people in poor communities addicted to these drugs, that's obviously not going to be good for their mental well-being. It's not going to be good for their spiritual well-being. Not to mention the mental and spiritual well-being of the people of Iran, Iraq, Colombia, Nicaragua. These billionaires were using war to profit and also using the music industry to keep people distracted. With the crack era of the 1980s, this then affected the life of many rappers of the late 1980s, early 1990s. And some of them took the approach of conscious hip hop, educating the masses about the struggles, and others took the approach of gangsta rap. But again, the mainstream was pushing out the type of gangsta rap that was divorced from conscious rap, because you can have conscious gangsta rap. The conscious part of gangsta rap gives more context, but if it's divorced from the consciousness, then it can give a sense of glamorizing the lifestyle of drug selling or pimping or other themes like misogyny. So that's why if you're listening to that kind of music, it's important to have the context added to it. The goal, I think that the intention of the billionaires was to not have that added context. And that's why they promote music that is not really educational, but is mainly about partying or some other materialistic lifestyle. So then gatekeepers like Diddy, knowingly or unknowingly, were arguably used to prevent artists who threatened the pockets of those at the top from attaining a more widespread influence. Also, remember how I brought up Lucian Grainge earlier? Did you know that UMG is owned by Vivendi, whose largest shareholder is Bolloré? Bolloré uses the IMF and World Bank programs to profit off of resources and cheap labor in Africa. To learn more about that, then check out this stream right here. And if you want to learn more about spirituality, then check out this video right here. Thanks for watching.